All right, now let's do an example of exact equations. So you see that in practice, it's not as bad as you think. So we start with this equation, p dx plus q dy, where p is 3 plus 2xy, and then q is x squared minus 3y squared. And the first thing you have to do is to check that this equation is exact or conservative. So check conservative. And the way to do this, as usual, you check that Peyam is quixotic. So py is 3 plus 2xy with respect to y, which I think this is something plus something y, so this just becomes 2x, met 2x, and then qx is x squared minus 3y squared with respect to x. And so we just differentiate the x squared, and you get 2x as well. So it's matches, and in particular, this is the green light that tells you you can move on. Now, the next step is find an antiderivative. So find f. And remember, what do we have? So the x derivative of f is p. But careful, huge mistake I've seen people do. They use py instead of p. No, you have to go back to the original equation and get 3 plus 2xy. And then all you do, you integrate with respect to x. So integral of 3 plus 2xy dx, which I think now becomes 3x plus x squared y plus constant with respect to x, so any function of y. On the other hand, we have to do the same thing for fy. So fy is q, which was x squared minus 3y squared. So remember, go back to your original equation here. And then here we need to integrate with respect to y. So f is integral of x squared minus 3y squared dy. And so basically constant x squared with respect to y becomes x squared y, and then minus y cubed plus constant with respect to y, so any function of x. Which, if you want, yeah, you can just leave it like that, sorry. Now, we have to compare. It's a bit trickier here, but think as follows. We have this mystery function f. I tell you that it's 3x plus x squared y plus some y terms, but it's also x squared y minus y cubed plus some x terms. So if you really compare this carefully, well, what are the y terms? It's just minus y cubed. And what are the x terms? It's 3x. So in particular, what is our mystery function is x squared y plus 3x minus y cubed. So here really g of y is minus y cubed and h of x is 3x. In particular, don't double count the x squared y because it's still the same function. Think of x squared y as the head of your function. Your function only has one head. So once again, is x squared y plus 3x plus terms in y, which is minus y cubed, but it's also x squared y minus y cubed plus terms in x, which is 3x. So once again, don't double count the x squared y. And then finally, for your solution, all you have to do is set f of xy equals c. See, so if we get is x squared y plus 3x minus y cubed equals c. which again is an implicit solution in this case. And by the way, if I give you initial conditions, you would just plug in x equals something and y equals something and solve for c, just like we did for the other implicit equations.